Welcome to Simple Conversation with ASG.
Follow your new favorite podcast host with a link in the description.
Submit your questions to simpleconversation.asg@gmail.com.
So tell me, who is Thomas Haynes?
I'm Thomas Haynes, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I play the game of life. 25 years old. My sister got me an Xbox cake because I was an addict in many things, but video gaming was the primary thing I was an addict in. And I sat down and I looked at this Xbox cake, and I thought, what am I doing with my life? I'm 25 years old. I've been on this planet for a quarter of a century, and I've not really achieved anything of note. And then the day after, I went onto Twitter and I created an account, and that was almost 3 years ago. And it took me 18 months roughly to become a full-time entrepreneur. And I've worked with over 40 brands, businesses, content creators in social media marketing, email marketing, ads, anything you name it in the digital online world. And I very much like the game of life metaphor because I was an NPC playing in a fantasy world, and now I'm playing in the real world. And I level up in everything possible, fitness-wise, physical-wise, mental-wise. I quit video games and started playing chess. I love reading, and I'm now living a life which I actually enjoy, and one that has not just got me confined to a room of depression and addiction.
Are you not kicking yourself now you didn't keep to the video games and you see some of these streaming contracts?
You know, man, I do sometimes think, what if? But I gave it a go for like me and my boys. Well, I had me and two boys, and we must have tried for 18 months on YouTube, on Twitch, and only one of us got any kind of leeway. And yeah, it was just never going to work for me. Like, you either have to be attractive or sensationally good at the game, and I'm an average looking broke, and I was pretty decent at games, and I just didn't have that persona. Like, it would have been interesting to see if I'd have made it, but nah, it is what it is, man. I'm on the right path now.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. There's two ways to kind of break into that world, but apparently now there's a third one, as I've kind of stumbled onto the gaming side of Twitter this week, and there's a huge thing about people view botting these massive streamers like Kai Cenat and stuff that have like just crazy numbers of viewers, like 50k, 70k live, and they're only getting like 800 people in polls and live votes, and people are really, really like, this is like proper investigations people are doing on Twitter, like, and it's mad to see, because whenever I was growing up, like watching video game things on YouTube, like people like KSI and that, like there was never anybody going through his family history to see if he's got a view botter on his fucking family tree, like.
Nah, and it's funny you mentioned KSI, right? Because I remember when I was in school, I think I was in year 9 or year 10, man. And I swear down, I remember I found KSI on like 600 subscribers, and I went in next day to like all my boys, and I was like, yo, you've got to check out this YouTuber. He's hilarious. Because we were hooked on FIFA, and I just watched his entire blow up. And that was one of the things which was like, yeah, man, like all we do is sit around and play FIFA and COD and Battlefield and RuneScape and all these things, man. Like, why not try and make money out of it? But I wasn't aware of that. That is not surprising that people are doing view bots. I don't even particularly know what Kai Cenat does. Does he actually play games, or is he just like a personality guy?
He does play games, but I think he was like one of the first people to do the whole streaming with a celebrity, like the live Q&A type things with a celebrity. I think he was the first person to do that. He's moved into gaming now a lot more, but he's like signed to like Nike and Jordan and stuff. Like, it's actually insane.
Yeah, that's fucking
That's
wild, man.
mental.
It is. It's a massive industry, and it's an industry which I'm still keeping an eye on because, especially with marketing and stuff like that, you've got all these esports leagues and stuff like that now, and also with like crypto and the kind of gaming coins and stuff like Web3. I feel like there's going to be a massive it's going to grow even bigger, and there's going to be a massive push for it in the next 10 years because there's so many people, bro, who just sit down and just play games all day every day.
It's insane the amount of content coming from the gaming side at the minute. But something I wanted to introduce to the podcast was a new thing that someone actually told me to do because I message a lot of people I'm quite close with. Like almost every week, I always ask them what's annoying them this week, and they started saying that I should feature it on the podcast because it's quite a good way to get a ball rolling. So, Thomas, is there anything this week that's been annoying you?
That's interesting. What's been annoying me this week? Oh, nothing too much annoys me. Um, One thing that does pretty much annoy me online is the amount of political bullshit I see. I am
Ooh.
I am sick to death of political agendas and people pushing one side and warping all this misinformation. I've actually seen like deep fake generated stuff to try and push people's one idea. And I know the American elections are coming up in, I think, November later this year. And mate, I don't really know what it's like politically over in Ireland, but you'll know in like the UK, man, like our government's it's just a shambles, man, and I'm so tired of it. But there's just very little like you personally can do about it. The way I like to focus is I can just do what I can do for me and my family and close friends, man, and make the best life possible. Like, but I don't understand how people get so soaked up into this stuff, man. It baffles me, bro.
It's insane. Like the political game on social media now it's taken to a completely different level. Like I watched a few weeks ago a deep fake political debate, and people were in a live chat voting for who they wanted to win. These were two completely AI generated people, and they were voting like it was a presidential election.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't believe what I was seeing. I messaged the guy that was on this podcast. He's 70, and I sent him the link, and he just sent me back that I'm genuinely going to break my work laptop if you show me that. Like it's the most insane thing I've seen.
That's the way, like, I've actually got a business partner in AI, and don't get me wrong, I think there's going to be some mega things that can come from it. But my God, just like with everything that comes with it, there's going to be a real dark side. And people are just so dumb. They're not going to know the difference, man. Like, it's already getting
No,
difficult to know the difference. And you just said there that there's people voting for two people that aren't even
it
real,
was
man. Like,
crazy.
that is some Black Mirror-esque stuff right there, bro.
One of the characters asked a question to the live chat, and you couldn't see the answers. The live chat was going so quickly. People were running to their computers to vote on what this was about, and it was just two completely different things. I don't even know what they were debating for.
Oh my God.
It
What
was
platform was that on?
it was on Instagram Live originally,
Oh,
but
wow.
they took it to one of those streaming ones. Obviously not YouTube. YouTube would allow it, but there was some other like I think it might have been Rumble. They had it on, and it was.
Yeah.
I was watching it and just seeing the viewers going up and up and up, and it was going up by like 1,000 every 10 minutes. It was absolutely amazing to watch.
Wow. That's incredible. And I think it's just going to show like, and that's social media and how like social media just grows and grows every year. Like all these elections and the way people vote and all thing, it's just going to be dictated through social media now, man.
Yeah, political figures are definitely on the path to becoming influencers, which is it's so weird. Like, I couldn't imagine what old like presidential candidates are thinking looking at this now. Like they're basically becoming like they're doing brandage.
Yeah. And that's the thing to go full circle. Like I said earlier, I feel like everyone, man, needs a personal brand. And whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, like your personal brand, it's now like your CV and anything. Like even you see people applying for jobs and stuff, man, and they're like, go and check the social media, see what they do, and all this. Like your social brand, your personal brand is going to be your social proof. It's just crazy, and hit the nail on the head. Presidents and prime ministers are basically pretty much going to become influencers, man.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you what's been annoying me this week, and it's been annoying me for quite some time, but this week it's really took the piss. Is those crypto bots on Twitter. That my message request is getting destroyed. I have to verify my fucking email and everything almost every hour because I'm getting so many of them. I don't understand what it was. James Peters, my first ever guest on this podcast, sent me a quote tweet of a comment I put under someone's post. I can't remember who it was, but he used to own one of these crypto coins. And I've commented something under his post, and because they've all seen my comment, they instantly go, he's interested in crypto, and have flooded me with the biggest amount of bullshit.
Oh, mate, it's
I
something
can't
that's,
escape it.
you know, when Elon came in and one of his things was the bots are a really big problem. Before Elon came in, like, don't get me wrong, Elon's done good things and bad things with Twitter. But before Elon came in, I never really had a problem with bots. Since Elon's come in, crypto bots, porn bots, you're fighting a losing war. You cannot get rid of them. You can block as many as you want to. You can mute as many as you want to. It doesn't make a difference, man. It just doesn't make a difference. I don't know how he's made it worse. I really don't.
It's so bad. I like pretty much took a whole weekend away from social media because I'd done so much editing last week. I just was like, I can't look at a screen anymore. And I went away, and when I came back, my like followers and stuff had gone up a good bit. And I was like, oh, I've been fucking infiltrated by bots over the weekend. And then I posted something, can't remember what it was. I was asking what happened over the weekend. And as I posted it, I lost like 150 followers. And turns out he had wiped the bots. And then I came on this morning and he had somehow added the bots back to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, every day I go on, it jumps up and down, and I'm just not understanding what's going on. And then you get shadow banned if you have too many bot followers. How am I meant to escape them?
Yeah, I don't understand how they keep coming back because like I DM'd someone on Twitter the other day, just someone I've never DM'd before or connected before. I just wanted to connect over a post. And then all of a sudden I've got to authenticate myself. I've got to go through and complete a puzzle. And I'm just like, I've got the blue tick. I pay for this app. I've just DM'd one person I've never DM'd before. How do these bots get around all that to spam me and create accounts and follow me and spam everyone else? It doesn't make any sense. They must have some unreal system which can just create all these bots and just flood it out, man. It must be deep
The
technical
real
wise because I don't get how it's got worse. I really don't, and I don't know what the solution is, man. I just block as many as possible. Like, I created this new account for 5, 6 months ago, and I've got like over 1,000 blocked already.
the real problem with the bots is if they like your posts. Because I
Oh yeah.
was trying to promote a podcast episode. I was actually trying to promote a clip a couple of weeks ago, and as I had post, I got like 4 notifications, and it was 4 bots had liked it, and I literally just went, "Oh my god, I'm done. Like, I'm going on Twitter Geo," and I just deleted it straight away. I couldn't because I knew right. Like, since I had left that for even 5 minutes, I would have just got the ban hammer.
Yeah, and that's the issue. What are you on all social medias?
I've recently moved to them all. I was very one-minded on Twitter, but I've moved to them all now recently.
Yeah, I'm still very one-minded on Twitter. I do have Instagram, because I have client work on Instagram as well, so I kind of need it for that purpose. But they're the only two I'm on. You can include YouTube if you want to. I'm not sure if people class that as a social media. I guess it is, but I haven't got the heart to move to any others. But even on Instagram, like, I go on Instagram and I see a bot problem over there as well. Like, everything just seems to be struggling. And I read up on this. I went on a rabbit hole, man, because like you, I was getting so sick of these bots, and I was like, what is going on? And I found this thing called the dead internet theory. And I went down this rabbit hole, and like, there's a dead internet theory which basically suggests that 64% of all online activity is done by bots. And I was just like, holy cow. Like, that's nearly 2/3 of all online activity is done by bots, man. Like, and then there's only 1/3 of real people. Like, that's just ridiculous.
People probably hear you saying that stat and think that's like an over exaggeration, but I fully believe it because a few weeks ago, there know how there's people that have a certain handle on Twitter that just don't use Twitter.
Yep.
There was someone who had at ASG, so I asked them very kindly over the space of maybe 2 months, could I have the handle? Could he just change his name or delete the thing if he's not going to use it? And he said no problem, and he deletes it, and he literally had sent me the email. I deleted it, and about 30 seconds later, I went to change mine to it, and a bot already got it.
Wow.
I was emailing him. It was 30 seconds after he said, I've deleted my account. A bot already had the fucking username.
Jesus.
It
That's
was horrible.
insane.
I've been chasing this username for about 6 months, and I can't get it. I've just give up on it now.
What have you settled on?
I've just kept the one I have, which is only underscore ASG, because everything I couldn't put the ASG for some reason.
Oh, yeah,
It
that's
pissing me off. Like, searchability is terrible.
yeah. And even on Twitter as well, when you try and search to find an account on Twitter now, I don't know what they've done to change it, but it's impossible to find people. Like people who follow me and I follow them, I'll type in their name, but if it's slight, like unless you type their at in, letter for letter, you just don't find them, man. And it just brings you up a load of randoms that you've never seen before. And I'm just like, well, searching and finding people is an absolute pain in the ass now on that app. But that's unreal. I can't believe 30 seconds of bots already slapped that up. That's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I don't know if you know the guy on Twitter, Hot Takes, but he sent me like a screen recording of his Twitter a few weeks ago, and it was someone he was messaging, and he was asking them, "Have you seen this post that I put up today? Like, I think you'd like it." And the person went on to Hot Takes account, who followed him for so long, and whenever he clicks on his account, it just says "air loading," like it doesn't show his post. So he was wondering like, what's this happened? So he messaged a few of his followers, and he messaged like 20, 30 of them, and they all had the same thing. So his posts just weren't going to his followers.
Oh, that's baffling. That is
It's so
baffling.
bad.
I don't really like some of it. I understand with the whole people not seeing your content on Twitter and stuff like that. But like, because when I deleted mine, I was like, okay, I'm getting roughly 2,000 views, and I had 74 plus thousand followers, right? And I was getting 2,000 views. Now, don't get me wrong, I'd rebranded a couple of times, which I'd shifted between themes, personal brands, all that. That wasn't the best move. But I went on a third-party app called Circle Boom, and I was like, look, I'm just going to see like how many active followers I've got, how many inactive followers I've got, etc., etc. And when I first started using Twitter, I was working in a factory. I wanted to sort my life out, and I was just doing any possible way to get traction and grow my account. So I was in a ton of engagement groups, I was doing a ton of retweet swaps, and I was taking shortcuts. So fast forward 2.5 years later, I'm looking at my account, 74,000 followers. Circle Boom said that at least 36,000 of my followers were either inactive or spam accounts, which was pretty much half, just over half. And I was like, oh, wow. But what got me even more was that I only had 1,600 followers who were classed as highly active, who were being on like at least once a day or at least once every 2 days. So out of all my 74,000 audience, it made sense that I was only 2,000 people were seeing my tweets because I had 1,600 highly active followers, and then maybe a couple of thousand who came on like a couple of times a week or whatever it was, and they saw some additional posts as well. Like it made sense to me. So the quality of most people's audience are just not that high because I think the majority of the people who complained about it have probably either had accounts a long time and followers just aren't active anymore, or they've grown it in a bad way. But there are some accounts which have never done any of that and their reach is still shot.
Yeah, it's becoming. I think it's just I think every week there's more problems with Twitter, and I'm assuming Elon's working on a lot of things at once, which is making these things break down over time. But I just guess we just got to trust him. But something that I think we have to talk about with you is something that I seen on Twitter that I actually don't know how I missed it whenever I followed your old account. But you collaborated with Inter Milan.
Yeah, I did, man. I
What
did.
the fuck?
Bro, so this is linked to my business partner who's in AI, and it was surreal, man, because like my business partner, she's in America and she doesn't know football, and literally I just remember I can picture it in my head, bro. She sent me a message on Telegram and she's like, "Hey, can you just respond to this potential collaboration? He said he's working for Inter Milan." And I was like, "Nah, shut the fuck up. We do not have someone from Inter Milan getting in touch with us. No, we don't." Went on the email, boom, there it was. We want AI generated artwork posters. Please can we help on a call? Let us know if you're interested. I was like, we are interested. So we schedule a call, we get on this call, we're talking to this guy, and he basically works for the team which post all of Inter Milan's social media, right? And I was like, okay, so what do you want? He's like, look, AI is doing its thing. We want to see how we can incorporate it. And they gave a few ideas to us. And one of the ideas was if you can generate AI generated artwork poster for the Champions League games. And I was like, fuck yeah, of course we will. So we did a few posters for them in the group stages, and they tagged handles on their social media. It was unreal, man. Like, it wasn't the longest collaboration, but I didn't care. Like, it was such a cool thing to do, especially because I'm a big fan of football as well. So just by working with my business partner, she's called Heather, just by working with her for like 12 months and helping her build up a brand, it meant that we got links to Inter Milan, and that was just surreal, man. Like, it's still crazy to think about, and that would be another dream to collab with some other bigger clubs and stuff like that, man, and venture more into sports.
That is crazy because I looked at it and I was like, I was trying to like figure it out because it was like over a quote tweet and I was like, there's no way this is the real people. This is a fake account because I have a fake football teams DM me every week. And I'm like, this is a fake account. He's lying through his teeth. I clicked on and I was like, I can't believe this. And then I kept scrolling through and I was like, this can't be true. And I was like I stopped dead and I was like, I've seen one of these posters. There's no fucking way I'm interviewing the person that made this thing. It just baffled me.
It's crazy. It's just what can happen. Like, when you build this stuff online, you never know who's like. I've spoken to some wild people, man. I've spoken to CEOs of companies, people who've got startups going and they've got millions of pounds of investment, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I used to be a little bit like hesitant getting on these calls because I was a bit like, should I be on these calls? I've done so many of them now. I'm just more excited, man. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, tell me what you got going on. I'm more interested. Even if we don't work together or collaborate on anything, like, just tell me what's going on and what are you doing? What's your plans? Like, what do you want to start up? So, yeah, that was like, that's still pinned because it's without doubt my favorite collaboration. And also Inter Milan, they got to the final the season before as well in the Champions League. So I was like, wow, this is awesome. And we both got that pinned on our profiles because it's probably the best social proof we've got today of working. Like, I don't think we've worked with anyone bigger than Inter Milan. They're probably a top 10, top 15 club in the world, probably top 10. So that was just unreal. And I think, following that, we landed, a startup company came to us and we ended up working with this team for like 8 months and earning a lot of money off them. And they were an AI startup company. We ended up getting our Heather's account up to over 100,000 followers and stuff on there. And yeah, it really kickstarted for us. And the main reason the guy came to us because he was enjoying the artwork we were putting out on Heather's account. He was like a personal fan, and he was like, yeah, let's see if we can get you on in someone on social media. And I was like, holy fuck, it was unreal, man.
That is just insane. And it led me down a rabbit hole, kind of what you and Heather do, because I've seen her tagged in it. But these like short movies or short films that you make with AI are
Yeah.
that I was watching one today earlier whenever I was waiting for someone to call me at work. And I was just looking through it and I was like, I can't believe that none of this existed before he generated it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, the fact that you can generate a full short film so easily. It showed me how in depth AI really is.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like when ChatGPT came out, and it's funny because meeting Heather kind of changed the way how I work online. Because before I met Heather, I was like a classic Twitter growth coach doing a bit of ghostwriting and stuff. And then when I met Heather, she wanted something similar, but it was November 2022. So around the same time, I think it got fired. Um, Maybe it was a bit earlier, but she was like, I want to go into AI. She was really into visual arts and stuff like that. And she's like, she knows coding a little bit. And she was like, look, I really want to get into AI. And I was like, okay, sweet, that we can shift to AI. But I was like, at the start, I was very hesitant. I was like, do I want to get into this? I think there's a lot of bad things which could come from it. I'm not too sure if I want to be involved with it. But over the next year, I basically just had a front row seat to what was going on in AI, what was happening in AI, and how it was progressing. And as it kept on progressing, I got more and more into it. So I started getting on Midjourney. I started creating these images. I started on Runway. I started on Pika, and I'm by no means as good as Heather, but I'm pretty competent. And what we do is some of these short films, for example, you may have watched the one we did with Pixverse. Pixverse, that was a collaboration with the Pixverse company, and they basically said, "Can you do? We want to pay you to do a sponsored post." And we were like, "Okay, sweet." So we tested out Pixverse, and we were like, this is actually pretty cool. So yeah, we generated images in Midjourney. We used sound effects from 11 Labs for the voiceover, which all AI generated. And then we generated the video and animation in Pixverse itself. And then and then I edited it all in CapCut, sometimes use Premiere Pro if I'm feeling up for the task. And then, yeah, we just created it. Like if you work hard, you can knock that out in like 2 days, because we've also done Runway is probably the biggest video generation there is right now. And Runway do these things called Runway 48. So it's a 48-hour challenge, and you go in, you don't know what the video is going to be about, the film's going to be about. You don't know anything until the challenge starts, and then it gives you options of what to pick and create and make the film about. And you go in, you have to generate stuff, you have to create stuff, and then you put it together on a film. And we created, the first one we did was called The House, and it was like a 4-minute mini movie. And this was when AI was pretty early. That was probably nearly a year ago now, maybe not that long ago, but pretty early. And we created a 4.5-minute mini movie in less than 48 hours.
That's insane. Absolutely insane. 48 hours to make a money movie.
Yeah. And
Jesus
it's only
Christ.
going to get better, man. Like something dropped yesterday called Create AI. And like I've been looking at some of the stuff Heather's done today, and the animation on there is it's insane. She sent me something and I was like, have you just stripped that straight from anime? Because that could genuinely be in an anime and I wouldn't bat an eyelid at the quality of what that is. And bro, in the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to have fully generated AI films, which there's going to be pros, there's going to be cons, of course, but that's a matter of fact. In the next 1 to 2 years, we're going to have fully AI generated films, feature length, man.
It's insane what I can do and some of the tools just made, because for the podcast, whenever I'm like editing up clips, it was taking way too long for me to listen to the podcast 9 times just to find good clip points. So I went on, someone sent me, I can't remember what his name was. Someone who listened to the podcast sent me this article about CapCut, and it's some kind of trial thing they have at the minute where you upload a long form video and they'll clip it into like shorts for you, like little 60 seconds things, and you can go on and edit them and clip them up and stuff. So it made my life 10 times easier because it's just pinpointing all the main points. But it's like it's something that like I don't used it today. I wanted to get a couple of trailers done for a podcast episode that went out last week, and I was just kind of something looking at like they've genuinely like somehow ran my podcast through a system, and they've looked and said this is good, this is good, this is good, and then just threw it to me. Like it's seeing how one click of a button done that, because that's my clips for the whole week.
It's insane. I don't know what the one you're using is, but I use something similar. When I was working with a client, he had literally similar to you. He had podcasts, and he was like, can you help me chop these up and stuff like that? Do you know any quick AI tools to do it? And I was like, yeah, I know a tool called Opus Clip, which
I've
does
seen this
exactly
one.
what you said.
I've seen it advertised a lot, but I'm quite hesitant to use it.
How so?
I'm audio, and I don't know if it'll work.
Oh, that's a good question, actually. That's a good question. I've not tested that with audio. I've only tested that with video.
Well,
But
see,
if you... Oh, go
my
on.
podcast does get uploaded to YouTube as a video because it's through that Google RSS, but it's just literally my logo with the podcast playing in the background, which is what I feed into CapCut and then change the background. But don't know if it'll work well at Opus.
I don't know, but I can speak to Heather anyway, man. Like there's so many tools I struggle to keep up because I work like I'm not solely in AI. She's just my business partner in AI. I have business partners and I've worked with clients in multiple industries and areas. But she would definitely know a bunch of tools which you could do it because every week there's a new tool coming out. You go on her DMs and it's just, hey, can you test this tool out? Can you do this? Can you try this? Can you do a collaboration? Do you do any promotions for this? It's just insane. Like the whole AI sector is just, over the last year and a half, it's just boomed so quickly. And I've not seen anything like it, man.
That's insane. Right, let's move on to something more, less robotic, I'll say. Right. Well, I suppose technically this isn't less robotic at the minute with the trending topics around it, but your love for boxing.
Oh, yeah, man.
You see where I'm going with this.
Oh man, I love boxing, bro. The sweet science, man. So I'll tell you how I got into boxing. So when I was 13, I went through a pretty shitty year at school, and I wanted to just do some different things and stuff like that. So I said to my dad, "Look, I really want to start karate," and he was like, "Okay." We went into town. We scoped out a karate class and went into it, and I ended up doing karate for around 4 or 5 years. And I was gutted because I got up to the belt, which was just before black, and it was a black and white belt, which I thought actually looked better than just having a black belt. But the problem was when you got the one before black, was you had to wait a year before you could take black belt, and I was going to uni. Like I literally got it 3 months before I was going to uni, and I was just like, I'm probably because of the way it is, and this I think it was Wadaru Shokatan is what I did, and I couldn't find any other classes up in Leeds where I was going to uni. So at the time, I was reading Mike Tyson's autobiography, and there was 100% going to be a boxing class at uni. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna test boxing out. And as soon as I went down there and as soon as I started boxing, that was it. I fell in love with it. I was going back on YouTube. I was watching all the old fights. I was finding the best rounds of, Castillo and Ramirez and the Gatti Wards, the Marvin Haglers. And I just went through the whole history of boxing. And I was just like, I absolutely love this sport. And I've recently just started it up again now, which I just love it, man. And I'm gonna have some fights and stuff. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Boxing's really took off a lot more now recently because there's exciting fights more than anything. But if we're going to talk about boxing, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the marketing genius, which is Ryan Garcia. My God. Put him in the Hall of Fame just for the promo.
You know, man, he had everyone fooled. He had me fooled. I'll admit
Bro,
it.
I paid for the pay-per-view in case he done something that would cut off all the streams. He had me thinking he was going to go mental. He was going to go in the ring and start crying and start fighting with his feet or something. He had me hooked.
You know, I've never seen anything like it. It was incredible, and the guy, you know, he not only like put Devin Haney down 3 times, man. I know he came in 3 pounds overweight, but he absolutely obliterated him, and I genuinely thought the guy was on verge of just a complete collapse, man. I I can't believe how he did it, but full credit to him. Like he changed in the whole world of boxing. He changed so many people's minds that night. I've never seen a swing go from people not being for a guy to people then being for a guy.
That's the real genius of it, which people are always are talking about what he done, and obviously what he done marketing wise, don't even know how he came up with it. But there's the fact he's coming off a loss to Tank. Everyone's calling him a quitter, calling him this, calling him that. He's making excuses. He's crumbling at the press conference, and he goes from that to playing into it. Generally, everyone thinking he's gone insane, then come out and just wipe the floor with one of the best boxers in the division. It's something you only write in a script.
It is. It should be in a Rocky film. Like it's. I just can't believe it. It's unbelievable. And if Ryan goes on now to be a active fighter, he fights 3 times a year. He could he could have such a big legacy, man. Because the biggest problem in boxing now is inactivity. People just don't fight enough. Like you've only got like Inoue fought the other day. I don't know if you saw that fight against Neri.
Yeah.
That was probably fight of the year so far, man. He's one of the only few that really, I know Canelo does a little bit, but there's not many boxers which fight 3 times a year, man, 4 times a year. Like you go back, I know you're going back like 50 years, but some guys would fight every week, man.
Oh
Like
yeah. Didn't Mike Tyson have like 10 in 1 year?
I think so, man. He
That's
had
crazy.
he had a ridiculous amount of fights. I don't know whether it was after he came out of prison or something like
Maybe.
that. He just but his fights only lasted what? They lasted mostly three
Not even
rounds.
a minute.
You know what I mean? Like it was just oh
My God, because I watched the like remake of his life, the TV show thing, and I was sitting watching. I was like, "There's no way he was really on that much of a warpath." Like I'd heard about it, he really had a real run, but I never thought it was. And I started going back through, and it was a YouTube video which was like Mike Tyson's first 10 fights, and it was 9 minutes. And I was like, "There's no fucking way that's not possible." And they had genuinely from the starting bell to the end every single fight, and it was only 9 minutes long.
oh
Like,
mate.
how do you even how's that even human?
I don't know. He was just an absolute animal. Like wasn't he they were putting him into the ring when he was like 15 with like seasoned pros or something for sparring.
Yeah,
And it's just like, how's a 15-year-old kid like going up against seasoned pros and like dominating them as well? It's
yeah.
just, he was ridiculous, man.
The
He was
genuinely is
absolutely
something wrong with him
ridiculous.
though because he's getting into the ring now soon again.
Yeah,
Genuinely something wrong with him.
I do not know how I feel about that.
Tough one,
And
tough one.
it's difficult as well. I'm not the biggest fan of Jake Paul. Like the Paul brothers, I don't particularly like, but you have to have respect in terms of their marketing and what they've built, man. Like the how they've built it, it's absolutely insane the audience they've got and the businesses they've built. You know, you talk about me doing a collab with Inter Milan. These guys have prime deals with clubs like Arsenal, man. Like it's absolutely ridiculous what him and KSI have pulled off. And then Jake Paul's now fighting Mike Tyson. Like and it's going down as an actual fight. It's not even an exhibition
It's a
fight.
pro
It's going
fight
to be
now.
a pro fight, man. So I cannot see that going more than 2 rounds. I cannot see it going more than 2 rounds. I know Mike Tyson's 57. I don't think he should particularly be fighting, but it's still Mike Tyson at 57. There's no way Jake can do anything to that. Surely not.
Yeah, everyone's doing the prediction and stuff, but I am still maintaining this from the first day whenever I saw it. They're not going to fight. There's no way. It's on Netflix. There's something sketchy there. They're going to go on and do some kind of performance. It wouldn't surprise me if they just start having a rap battle. There's no possible way in my mind that even if he is 57, Mike Tyson shares the ring with Jake Paul. It can't happen. It's not possible.
Well, we'll find out because I'm not sure when it is. It scheduled for next month? Is that when it
I,
was?
I don't even
I'm not
know.
sure. I think it's fairly soon that it was come up, and yeah, it's on Netflix. But I don't know, like, because I follow Mike Tyson on social, and you see him like he's training proper, man. Like the combos he's throwing at his age,
Shouldn't be happening.
do you know what I mean? Like it knocked me out in one go. Like
It's terrifying.
Jake just, I really hope it's not, because you know when Floyd Mayweather fought Logan Paul and stuff like that, you could just tell
Yeah.
Floyd was just, he was there for the money, and he was told to make it go the distance and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I really hope it's not like that. But as you say, it's just crazy. It just doesn't seem real, man.
Yeah. The Floyd one's a weird one because everyone obviously talks about Floyd now, but no one really talks about what he done for boxing in a bad way. Because he's left boxing now in a place where if you lose, you're pretty much done. He's put it now where you need to be perfect. Your record needs
Yeah.
to be spotless or you're fucked. Like, I don't think people understand just how good he was, though, at the time. People are really taking it for a normal person. What he was doing wasn't normal.
No.
Defensively, definitely wasn't normal.
He, in my opinion, boxing skill wise, he's the greatest of all time, I think.
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I sometimes go between him and Manny, but I just think Floyd, with what he's done and how, like, because everyone was there like, oh, he's such a boring fighter, and I'm like, he's not a boring fighter. You call him a boring fighter because you didn't watch his first 23 fights when he was called Pretty Boy Floyd, and he was an absolute savage, and he was knocking guys out left, right, and center. He knocked everyone out. There's no one was left to fight. He had to move up in weight, and he had to change his game because it's not his natural weight. Like, people just don't understand that, but I agree with what you said. That's what he's done for the game with how people protect their own now. It's not good. And also what he did in terms of how to get paid and how you have an A fighter and a B fighter and people squabble over who should fight and stuff like that. Look, man, you just need to prove it in the ring. Like, you're going to get paid more if you go in and win. Like, that frustrates me a little bit. But without doubt, I could, like the Floyd Canelo fight, I just sometimes go back and just watch the highlights of that because I don't think there's many better performances in boxing, man. Like that was just, it was inch perfect, that fight.
I was talking about that fight to someone recently too, and it's the fact Canelo was coming through as this phenom. He was 23, I think, when Floyd fought him. Like, people now are not. That's like one of the top fighters now fighting a real phenom who's just tearing apart the weight division, going, right, I'll fight him. It's not really going to happen now. And it probably is because of Floyd and that 0 at the end of his record. But he literally was just like, someone offered to him, do you want to fight Canelo? And he's like, aye, come on, why not? And he just went on and just pieced him apart like it was a joke.
Yep.
It was insane. Canelo didn't even look like he was ever going to beat him in that fight.
No, he was just lost, mate. He was absolutely lost.
Talented fighter too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's my goat. You know, there's, in terms of talent wise, Manny's probably someone which comes close to him. Aside from that, I can only really think of people like Edwin Valero, maybe Sugar Ray Leonard. It's, you know, it's really difficult to see anyone who's similar to him. He was just, and his obsessed mentality is something I really admired about him as well, because the guy, like, he still lived his life. Like, he went to clubs and stuff like 6 weeks, 4 weeks prior to fights, but what he'd do is he'd just then run home from the club. And it's like, no one would do that now, man. Like, you just don't see people having that kind of level and grit. Like, you look at the top boxers in the game now, you know, but who's top 3 pound for pound? You got Crawford, Inoue, and Usyk are probably top 3 pound for pound. Like, the standard at the top and this is for all sports as well, it's definitely dropped in the past like 5 to 10 years, man. Like the 2000s era, the 1990s era for sports, they just, because it was getting so commercial and so global, like the ambition and obsession athletes had to reach it to the top, they were doing it because they wanted to, and they wanted to achieve legacy. Whereas now more and more people do it for the fame and social status.
Do you see any similarities in Floyd and Bud Crawford?
Oh, that's a good question.
I see a tiny bit.
I do see some. Yeah, I do see little bits. But I wouldn't say they were similar fighters. I mean, Crawford's unreal. One of my favorite Crawford fights is the one against Sean Porter, where he sat on his stool in
He up.
end
up.
of round 10.
My God.
Yep, there we go, bro. You know it. And
My
he was
God.
like, he's up. He's like, how? How? And then it was like 16 seconds later, he knocked Porter down. 70 seconds later, fight's over. Like the switch. Like, don't get me wrong, he probably was a little bit, because Crawford is clear, man, of like all the people he's fought. I mean, you look at the Spence fight, like Spence was supposed to be the one to like be 50-50 with him, and he absolutely obliterated him. And he just can switch it on in an instant, and then he just finishes the fight, man. He's an unbelievable athlete, man.
I rewatch that Spence Crawford fight at least once a week, because just all the media going into it, like Crawford's gonna get embarrassed, Errol Spence gonna show he's the best, he's one of the best ever, and Crawford went on and absolutely mauled him. Like Errol Spence never looked like he was in the fight. He looked from the first bell that he was concussed.
Yeah, he just didn't have a chance, man. Like I always thought Crawford was gonna win. I did not think it'd be that one-sided. I thought he was gonna knock him out, because did he finish it in round 7 or round 8? Was it round 8?
I think it was round 8, round 7. He had him with that massive shot that put him down.
Yeah, that was it. Because I put a bet on for round 9 to 12, and if he'd knocked him out like in the next round, just if Spence held on for like a minute longer, I'd have won like over $1,000 or something. But I just got the knockout because I was like, yeah, I put like 50 quid on Crawford, knock him out, because I was like, this is gonna happen, man. And then I put like another 50 on like round 9 to 12. Oh, I was gonna make bank, but he just did it too soon. Like I couldn't believe it when he put him down like in the earlier rounds. I was like, wow, like he's made even quicker work of this than I thought he would. I thought there would at least be some form of adjustment, but Errol after he had that crash and stuff like that, he's just not being the same, man.
Yeah, you could see it whenever, especially after the early rounds in that fight for Crawford, because in the early rounds it kind of did look like Crawford was filling him out a little bit, like kind of being on defensive, but he was countering him so quickly. It was just like that uppercut he knocked Crawford, he knocked Spence down with. Even in the replay, you could barely see it. It was so sharp and quick, and then you could see as it got into the 5th round, Spence was like, "My God, what the hell is this happening to me?"
It was unbelievable, man. He was so
My
shook, and
God.
like even in like the pre-talk when Bud and Spence are like they're in some stadium, I think, and they're talking about like you can just see in Spence, like he's not confident what he's saying. He's like, we'll see, and he's like, Bud's like, I'm gonna put you down, I'm gonna knock you out. And then you could just tell in the mannerisms of how they were speaking to each other and the body language, like Bud has this. So he was always going to knock him out, but it impressed me even more of how well he did it and how easily he did it, man.
Yeah, it was amazing. I do kind of want to move away from the boxing talk, but I can't move away without saying this, because I've kind of been more looking for this more than anything. So what in the hell is happening in the heavyweight division of boxing at the moment?
Oh,
But what even happened? It just disappeared overnight. Like I haven't even seen anything even about Usyk.
So Fury and Usyk are fighting in what, 2
Is
weeks?
it still definitely on? Because I know there was complications at a
Well,
point.
this is the problem when Fury fights, is that you never trust he's going to be fighting until he's actually face to face with the guy in the ring. because he had that cut on his eye which got it put back, and then they rescheduled it, so it should be in like 10 days, I think, man. But in general, the heavyweight division is pitiful. It has been pitiful for a while. The lower weights have always been much better for the past 5-10 years, in my opinion. Even like middleweight and light heavyweight, like that Better Bivol fight, I'm so gutted that Better Biev got injured, because I was well looking forward to that. But heavyweight, there's just minimal fighters. Like Fury had his trilogy with Wilder. Joshua, like, fair play, he's pretty active and he fights a lot of people. I think Joshua is willing to fight a lot of people. But of course, then Fury and Joshua, they fought Francis Ngannou with the UFC crossover, and it's just like heavyweight was supposed to be the division, and it's just not anymore, man. There's just not, the personnel just isn't there, especially when Fury and Joshua and Usyk and all these retire. Like, there's no one coming through the ranks to come and replace them.
Yeah, there's really no entertainment on it, to be honest. And there's a lot of weight divisions that will kind of go stalemate because there is no real big personalities or entertainers. And there's a guy that I found recently when I was just going on random wormholes about boxing, but he's really caught my eye. Is that Robert Whittaker, the guy that dances when he fights?
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
seen this guy?
I think I've seen that guy.
My God,
Yeah.
he's entertaining.
He is, yeah. I've seen, I think I watched a YouTube documentary on him. He was someone which I was like, one of my friends sent him to me, and I was like, yo, this is pretty cool. And the way he dances around, and that just reminds me of Nassim, man. Nassim was such an entertainer.
That was the
Such an
comparison I
entertainer.
had in my head.
Man, I could talk about boxing for hours, bro. I literally,
Yeah.
I struggled to stop. I jumped on a networking call once with a guy who I knew off Twitter. We've been mutuals for a while, and we just stand a networking call talking about what we're doing entrepreneurial wise, what we're doing business wise. And then towards the end of the call, for whatever reason, boxing popped up. And I was like, hold on, you like boxing? I'm not kidding to you, bro. Next hour and a half, we were just there talking about boxing. Like, I just can't shut up about it. And I was like, yo, I found a new boxing friend, man. This is unreal. And like, when fights are on, I message people. Oh, yeah, it's such a great sport. And it's such a great sport to actually participate in as well, man. I think every young man, every man should just step into the ring at some point in their life.
Yeah, well, it's probably promoted more than ever now, especially with the kind of the influencer boxing thing and it being a little bit more entertaining. It's probably a bit more geared now towards kids in that regard because these influencers are going to have big kid demographics.
Yeah, that's very true. Like the whole, I can't remember what they call it, but like the YouTube boxing when KSI and like his brother and all that, like when they were fighting each other and stuff, they filled out like an arena, man. And God knows how many people watched it. Yeah, like on YouTube and all these other platforms. So it definitely has grown. And then also UFC's been pretty big as well in combat sports world. I know one championship in Asia for like Muay Thai and kickboxing, a little bit of MMA is pretty big over there as well. So I think combat sports, yeah, it's definitely on the rise. Boxing just needs some more superstars, man. And shout out Saudi Arabia as well, because they're doing their best to save it, man.
Yeah, I think that is I don't know if it's the lack of superstars, because I do think in the boxing world there are superstars that maybe won't be in the limelight. But I think when you look at things like the UFC, they have so many people with personalities outside of that. Like you think of Conor McGregor, like you would probably watch more Conor McGregor press conferences than you would fighting. Same with people like Sean O'Malley, those people that are going to say something at a press conference. And then now you look at someone like Max Holloway, who overnight has become a complete superstar because of how vicious he is in the octagon. I think that's what boxing's missing. Is boxing's very, you have to do it in the ring, but then you overthink the fact you have to do it in the ring, so you don't have a personality outside of it. And I think that's probably where the superstar lack of superstars, I should say, in boxing comes from, to be honest.
No, I couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. Spot on. Because you need to sell fights, and you need all that build up, and you need that personality. And a lot of boxers are just like, especially when you look at people like Bivol, Beterbiev, Inoue, these guys are just in the gym, man. They don't care about all that kind of stuff. Like, they don't have that kind of personality. And even people like Lomachenko, who's just an unreal fighter, like, you saw a little bit more of his personality come out, but you don't watch press. I don't watch boxing press conferences, really.
Never.
Like, I can't even remember the last one I did watch. Like, to be honest, it was probably Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
Probably.
That was probably the last one I watched, man. So yeah, it does need that. And I think if Saudi keep putting these fights on the map, and the top 10 pound for pound do fight more regularly, and people like Ryan Garcia and Inoue and these guys fight regularly, it will definitely stir up more. Because I hope it does, man, because I love boxing. I don't think it will ever die, because it's got such a longevity and how long it's been around and whatnot. But it is, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll switch gears into something now that you have now moved on rent free into my head, because every day I'm now sitting in your Twitter fucking analysing this with a whiteboard basically. But your chess obsession and the chess screenshots. I have zero idea about chess, but I'm now finding myself looking at these screenshots and pulling up another tab, Googling what the fuck is talking about.
So yeah, I've got a really big love for chess, because when I quit video gaming, I was like, whenever you quit any addiction, if you're going cold turkey and if you're just stopping, man, you have to replace it with something. And when I quit, I was like, what's something that can give me a gaming effect, but isn't going to be the gaming effect which is detrimental on me, and actually going to give me something beneficial? Because, gaming does have some qualities. You can get faster reaction speed, you can get analysis, and there's things which can help from it. But I always had a slight interest in chess. I'd never been massive into it. But I've always been a big fan of Magnus Carlsen, because he plays fantasy Premier League in football. And I knew he was one of the best chess players. Well, he is the best chess player ever. He's got the highest rating ever. But I then found myself playing more and more chess, and I absolutely fell in love with the game, man. Like, there's levels to play in, say you play a game and you have to go from level 1 to a level 100, right? Once you've completed that game, you then go on to the next game and whatever. You can never complete chess, man. Like, even 2 days ago, Magnus Carlsen playing Hikaru Nakamura, these guys are ranked number 1 and number 3 in the world. They both missed a mate in 1 on the board. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. And yet they'll calculate 20 moves ahead, and they'll see a mate in 20 moves, and they can still miss that. You can't complete chess. You can always get better, and you'll always make mistakes, and you can always learn, and you can always find new lines. We all know how there's the thing about there's more grains of sand on the earth. There's more chess moves on the board than there are grains of sand on the earth, and things like that. It's absolutely insane. Like, no matter how good your memory is, you can't ever remember everything that's ever been, despite Magnus being given that a good go. There's always going to be more positions. There's always going to be things you haven't seen. It's good for your attention. It's good for your instinct, timekeeping, memory, focus. And it's a good community game as well. Like, I've got a group chat, and I've met people through chess, and I speak about chess, and it's something which has kind of blown up as well in the past couple of years. There's people like Levi Rosman on YouTube, and Hikaru streams as well. Since I quit the video gaming, I went to chess, and I've just never looked back, man. Like, I'm still a pretty meh player because there's so much theory involved, but man, I absolutely love the game.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of not really in the process, but kind of passively trying to learn it and pick up and different things. But whenever I like you Google chess, one of the first videos that comes up, and I've watched it a few times because to me it's absolutely hilarious. Is that Magnus Carlsen guy showing up late to a chess match and then winning within like a minute? It is so funny. Like it's the definition of big dick energy.
Yeah, he's got an ego, and it's every right to have an ego because he is without doubt the best chess player has ever been. Some people can maybe say Gary Kasparov because he didn't have the help of like computers and stuff, and people look at Bobby Fischer and that, but Carlsen is just mate like the stuff he does. So there's I don't know if you know about the competition called Title Tuesday, where all the best players in the chess world they play Title Tuesday online, and it's like a ranked event, and you try and win it and whatnot. And Magnus will go into Title Tuesday, and he will play the most stupid moves just to try and have some fun, just to put some form of pressure on himself, and yet he still wins all the games. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That is insane. There's a streamer or something at the minute that's big into chess.
There's a
What's his
few
name? The
streamers.
guy, he comes in a tank top. He's muscly as all hell.
Oh, that Tyler One guy.
That's the fuck. He's coming up everywhere in my
Yeah.
thing.
So the reason he's coming up a lot is because he's gone up like he's just past 1900 elo. To give you an idea, my rapid rating is 1200 elo, and he's just gone past 1900 elo, and he's done it in under a year, which is the fastest, like one of the fastest people to ever do it. And it's just ridiculous. Like this guy's just gone into chess and he's just absolutely smashing it. And I don't know much about him, but chess.com keep tweeting about him because they're like, he's just passed this elo, now he's at this elo. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know if he has coaches. I don't know if he's just sitting at home and that's what he does all day. It's ridiculous. But again, he's putting more promotion out there for chessing as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot on like Instagram. He's coming up. I think it might be just because of his fancy poses and every fucking wins a chess match. But something you tweeted the other day that kind of perked me up a little bit because you're one of the first people that kind of have shown that you do take like kind of supplements and stuff. And there's a supplement that you had on your Twitter, which I'm looking at now, but there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to pronounce it. But there's blue in the name.
Methylene blue.
Yeah, what is it?
So I've literally only like that was what 2 days ago I posted that.
Yeah.
I do not know much about this at all, but I've been seeing it online from people like Simo, Vance, Noah, and the esoteric health Twitter guys. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the stuff they say it just sounds like bullshit. But from a lot of these combat sport guys as well, like a lot of these guys are fighters, they swear that methylene blue absolutely enhances your focus, basically removes any form of depression and just makes your life better, man. And I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna test it out. Like, it's I'm always skeptical about things, but from what I've heard about methylene blue, it sounds like it could quite literally be a superhuman kind of thing. Obviously, if you type in methylene blue to Google, it's going to come up and say it does all these bad things. But I'm very interested to see what it does and the effect it has on me because I've taken some even very simple supplements in the past and I feel like they've had adverse effects on me. So I'm going to try it out. But these guys swear that it just kind of like how some people say Adderall is a superhuman drug, not in that regard, but I'm very interested to see what it does to me.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear these texts because you from the people like looking at you, you're a pretty normal person. Like you're an entrepreneur. You're not like a professional athlete. So hearing kind of you talking about the benefits of taking these supplements, it probably is quite good for older people who are maybe lacking something that they can't get from their diet. So like as an overall thought, what do you think of supplements in general? Really?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, like, for an example, the supplement I've had the most benefit from would be magnesium. I've always struggled with sleep, and when I started taking magnesium, I noticed a big effect in that. Um, I do think you should get the majority of what you can from your diet, but every human's different, man. Like, I studied sports science at uni, so I had a fairly decent knowledge in nutrition, and the majority of what you get should be through your diet. But if there's something missing and people's bodies react different ways, some people have, malnutrition in certain areas, whatever it is, supplements can help. And if they do help, you should take them. But the problem is that people see all these benefits and then they'll stack up like 10, 15 tubs of all these supplements, man. And it's like, what are you doing? Evidently, your staple diet should not mean you have a stack of 10 to 15 supplements, in my opinion. You should maybe have a stack of 2 to 3 supplements, something like that. And if you're doing that, you're probably going to be some form of athlete.
Yeah, there's a guy I follow on Twitter, and I'm good friends with him. And I sent him an article on Telegram at the start of the year, which was top 10 supplements for people aged between 18 and 25 in 2024. And he's always twittered about how bullshit supplements are. And I sent it to him and I said, "What's your thoughts on this?" And he said the only supplements that people need between those ages is nicotine pouches and black coffee.
I rate that, man. I rate that. Yo, nicotine pouches are good, man. I got some 20 milligram ones. Wow, their power. It blew my mouth off, man. I was like, holy shit. Like, I DM'd the guy who I bought them off, and I was like, yo, these 20 milligram are pretty power. And he's like, yeah, man, enjoy it. But I got such a little tingly buzz. Man, I hit flow state rapid. I agree.
A
I'm
lot of
the most
people
told man. Black coffee and nicotine pouches is supplements you need.
a lot of people do say that about nicotine patches and snus that it had flow state. And I thought it was like complete bullshit until I seen photos of footballers and athletes have it in their pockets before games. So it genuinely must have some kind of benefit.
Oh yeah, it does, man. Like it puts you like I wouldn't recommend going straight in for 20 milligram because
No, it's
it's
suicide.
sometimes yeah, literally I was overpowered, man. But if you put that and you just put it in like your upper left lip around that area and you sit down. I remember the first one I ever took, right? And this is the beauty of the entrepreneurial world. I was going up to Texas because my boy was getting married. So I was doing a road trip around Texas. And I met up with a couple of cats off Twitter in Texas. I met up with one guy called Rob Riker, sound guy, and we went for a swim one day and we went for some food. And then he was like, yo, do you want to do a work session tomorrow morning? And I was like, yeah, man. So we linked up tomorrow morning and like we were setting up our laptops and that. We got some coffee and we sat down. He was like, right, I'm going to plug in. Do you want one of these? And I was like, mate, what the fuck is that? He's like, just put it in your upper left lip, mate. And I was like, all right, mate. I literally an hour and a half just zoomed by and I looked up and Rob was like, I need to go, mate. And I was like, wow, how long's it been? Hour and a half? Got so much work done, man. But again, it's one of those things that I can't you can overdo these things, right? You want it in your mouth all the time, but I take it when I need to put in a deep session or something like that, man. Just shoving at the upper lip, it does help.
Yeah, because whenever I read his response to whenever I sent him that article, I laughed, but there was a piece of me that was like, he's not completely wrong there, and it is the case of the whole. I'll do air quotes again. Self-improvement niche of the world is really
Yeah.
overcomplicated by all this bullshit. Like they're basically telling you to take your vitamins to a fucking IV every morning. Like it's really not. Like I posted this on my page a while ago and it got some pretty bad traction. But I asked like, was self improvement and personal development become toxic or too far fetched? And people couldn't really see the divide, but there was people that have replied with such simple advice, and I was reading it that advice is so easy, but because he's not put a fucking video of a train station with CapCut effects over the top of it, no one's gonna read it. It's so annoying.
And that's the problem is that people are so dopamine fueled, man, is that they need that hit to even vaguely listen to what it is. Bro, I'll stand by this, man. Like self-improvement space. Don't get me wrong, I do think it's had some positive effects. But if you want to get into the self-improvement space and you want to improve your life, there's only one book you need to read, and that's The Stranger's Secret by Earl Nightingale. It's 55 pages long. If you want, you can go onto YouTube and you can listen to the half-an-hour Audible version. He tells you what the Stranger's Secret is, and it's the only hack you need to be self-improvement and do what you want to do in life. And the problem is that self-improvement, everyone is giving out really nuanced advice when the bulk of the population aren't even doing the basics right. Like you get 90% of the basics right, and then maybe some nuanced advice helps you for your specific situation. But if you're not even doing the basics right, and then you go on and you try and take on some nuanced self-improvement advice, it's not going to work. It's not going to apply to you. You're going to call it bullshit, and then you just go around in circles, man. Like people just need to get the basics right, and then maybe some nuanced advice helps you out. But yeah, it's self-improvement, and there's a lot of things like that in the online space that just they go too far and then they kind of go full circle. Yeah, and self-improvement's one of them.
I think there's no better note to end it than telling the world that self-improvement niche is shocking and should be banned. So thank you very much, Thomas, for coming. It's been a long time coming, and I really enjoyed this. And I'm glad that I took the approach to strip it back and be a little bit more just normal conversation than professional, because I think that this is going to let the viewers get to know us both a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be, man. Like I'm not, I'm by no means got a like I'm a pretty ordinary guy as things go. I've just got an ambitious mindset and I want to achieve things in this life, man. Like if people listen to this, I think they can get to know us a little bit better and hopefully they learn from something from it. Even if they don't particularly learn anything, go and read that book. Like spend half an hour of your day reading that book, because that book changed my life, man. And that's all you need. If you want to be in the self-improvement space, just go and pick up that book, realize what he says in there. That's all you need to do. He says it's one sentence long. I won't say it on here because just go and listen to it, man, or go and read it, and that's how you'll change your life.
Amazing. I have it wrote down now. I'm going to actually listen to it as well. But like I said, thank you very much for coming on. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, I have too as well, to be honest. I wasn't really knowing what to expect. I know we've been speaking in the DMs, and it has been a good few weeks to get it set up, but thanks for having me, man. It's been a blast, and I definitely dig this kind of format.
It's good. It's good. I have no doubt that in the future I'll have you on again to talk about other things that have been annoying us, but yeah,
No doubt, man. I look forward to episode 2, bro.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Thomas. Enjoy the rest of your day.